I didn't understand what she was accusing me of, only that the whole table went quiet when my grandmother stood up. Her fork hit the china first. A sharp, accidental sound, like a bell ringing in a courtroom. Then the scrape of her chair against the hardwood floor. I remember thinking, absurdly, that the turkey was drying out while she rose to her feet. Steam curled from the gravy boat. Someone's phone buzzed unanswered near the bread basket. And then my grandmother's voice, thin but unshaking, cut through the room. "Don't you dare pretend you don't know what I'm talking about." Every face turned toward me. My mother's eyebrows lifted in confusion. My uncle froze mid-chew. Across the table, my cousin's toddler banged a spoon, blissfully unaware that something had cracked open right there between the cranberry sauce and the candied yams. I felt my body do something my mind hadn't agreed to yet. My shoulders tightened. My throat closed. Words stacked up somewhere behind my teeth and refused to come out right. I have no idea about it," I heard myself say. It didn't sound like my voice. It sounded small, unconvincing, like a lie told by someone who wasn't practiced at lying. My grandmother stared at me as if I had just slapped her. Her lips trembled, not with age, but with restraint. Whatever she believed I had done, it was big enough to make her forget we had guests, forget the holiday, forget the years she used to brush my hair before school and slip me peppermint candies when my mother wasn't looking. "Sit down, Mama," my mother said gently, already half standing. "Let's not do this right now." But it was already done. The moment had broken open, and nothing was going to tuck it back where it belonged. That was how Thanksgiving began that year. Before that afternoon, my life was, if not perfect, at least predictable. I was 34 years old, single, working as an administrative coordinator at a small medical office downtown. The job wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and gave me a rhythm. Mondays were scheduling. Tuesdays were insurance calls. Fridays, if we were lucky, the doctors brought donuts. I lived alone in a modest apartment with beige walls and a view of the parking lot, the kind of place you don't decorate much because you're not sure how long you'll stay. Family gatherings were the loudest part of my life. We were the kind of family that treated holidays like obligations stitched together with love and resentment in equal parts. You showed up. You brought a dish. You kissed cheeks you didn't always want to kiss. You listened to the same stories told by the same people in the same order every year. And at the center of it all was my grandmother, Eleanor. She was small, bird-boned, with silver hair she wore pulled back tight, as if even her thoughts needed to be neat. She had raised 5 children in a house that never seemed big enough, buried one husband too young, and lived long enough to see her grandchildren become strangers she loved fiercely, but didn't always understand. I had always been her quiet one. Not the favorite she never admitted to favorites, but the dependable one. The one who showed up early to help set the table. The one who stayed late to wash dishes. The one she trusted to run errands, manage paperwork, explain the world when it started moving too fast for her. So when she looked at me that Thanksgiving like I was someone else entirely, something inside me panicked. The morning had started normally enough. I woke to the sound of rain tapping my window and the smell of the sweet potato casserole I'd baked the night before, waiting in its glass dish by the door. I showered, dressed in a soft green sweater my mother liked, and rehearsed small talk in my head the way I always did. Traffic was light. The radio played old soul music. Nothing warned me that by sunset, I would be questioning my place in my own family. At my parents' house, coats were piled on the bed in the spare room. Football murmured from the living room. My aunt critiqued the pie crust like she did every year. My grandmother sat at the head of the table, hands folded, watching everything with those sharp eyes that missed very little. She hugged me when I arrived, but it was brief. Her body stiff. I noticed it, but I told myself I was imagining things. I always did that. I smoothed over discomfort before it had a chance to become real. Dinner was halfway over when it happened. No slow build. No warning glance. Just the sudden explosion of something that had clearly been simmering long before we sat down. After my grandmother yelled, after I froze, after the room filled with that thick, unbearable silence, my uncle tried to joke it away. "Well," he said, forcing a laugh, "this is new. No one laughed. My grandmother didn't sit back down. She looked past my mother, past the plates and the food and the holiday, and fixed her eyes on me again. "You think I don't know?" she said. "You think I don't see what's been happening?" My heart hammered so loudly, I was sure everyone could hear it. I searched her face for a clue: anger, grief, confusion, something that would explain why this was happening now, in front of everyone. "I don't know what you mean," I said, my hands gripping my napkins so tightly it tore. That was the moment something shifted, not just at the table inside me, because for the first time, I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding that would clear itself up with time. Whatever my grandmother believed, it had roots. And those roots were tangled somewhere in our shared past, in conversations I hadn't heard, decisions I didn't know had been made. The rest of dinner passed in fragments. Plates pushed away half full. Food wrapped up too early. People speaking in low voices, careful not to wake whatever had gone wrong. My grandmother didn't say another word to me that night. She didn't need to. The damage had already been done. And as I drove home later, the casserole dish empty beside me, I couldn't shake the feeling that something important, something fragile, had been taken from me without my consent. I just didn't know yet what it was.